Hello, welcome in and welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads and I am here today to kick off a new reading vlog. So with this month including Easter and spring and just all the things that make me think of color, I figured it would be a perfect time to bring back my friend, the color spinner wheel. And I don't think that with the price of eggs in America right now, that dyeing Easter eggs is on my agenda. So let's get some colorful books to make life a little more interesting. I would love to maybe hit on a couple that are already on my TBR, but also this is about mood reading in the moment to figure out what I want that has a particular color on the cover. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and spin the color wheel and figure out what that first book is going to be. Scooting over a little bit so you can see what I'm seeing in my screen recording. All right, ready and set and spin. Okay, we're going to be looking for something with some light orange on the cover. I am not quite sure what that is off the top of my head, so I will go find something and be back. All right, I actually have more options than I thought I might, although I do have a lot of brighter oranges than a light orange, but going completely off plans, no intent to really pick this up super soon, I think I'm going to go with The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. And this one I've had since it came out. It was a pre-order, I'm pretty sure, and it certainly has some different orange colors in here, so I absolutely think it works. I've seen some really good reviews for it, I've seen some mixed reviews for it, but it's dragons. It's Jen Lyons who wrote The Ruin of Kings, which I didn't wind up loving, but I did really want to try her writing again in a different story, so a story with dragons can't possibly go wrong, right? So it is rather a long one. It's not super chunky looking, but the print is on the smaller side. It's an 18-hour audio, but I can get the audio from my library, so I'll probably wind up doing a little bit of a mix of audio and print for this one, and I'm actually really excited to make this my first book. So this is off to a good start. Let's see how the orange color treats me as we get going. Kylie's coming over to investigate, apparently. So I guess I do need to get going. I am just on a quick break in between meetings and going back to my office, so I could hang out with Kylie for a little bit and maybe do a little bit of reading. I need to get going though, unfortunately. I'd rather just sit and dive into my book, but maybe I'll put the audiobook on as I drive back to work, even though I do have other in-progress reads. We'll see. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm procrastinating going back to work. Can you tell? But I'm excited with how we're starting things off, and I'll let you know once I have some initial thoughts on this book. Not sure if I've talked about this on YouTube before, but I do get the subscription box of snacks and fun treats from Universal Yums every month. This is something that I pay for. No sponsorship, no anything. But since we are playing with colors this week, I wondered if maybe there might be something appropriately colored in here to work with our spinner wheel colors to snack on. I don't know. Could be completely no. But we'll see. I don't even remember what country we're visiting. Oh, we are visiting the Netherlands. Kylie likes digging into these with me too. They always include cute packaging, information about the country, and then you get a bunch of snacks. Information book, bunch of snacks from the country in question. And I mean, that kind of looks like light orange to me, and we're currently working on our light orange book, right? Seems like maybe caramel corn is the snack of the day. But let's see what else we got. We got potato chips. We got cheese puffs. Some Gouda snacks. Twist tarts chocolate fudge. Interesting. Stroopwafel kind of feeling thing. Yep. Some peanut chocolate cookies. More cookies. Lemon cookies with white chocolate. I get the bigger box, so I also get one beverage each time, which is a lemon Fanta this time. Like something gingerbready like. And some car candies. Random Yum bag. Those are just like little candies. And licorice animals. I'm not a licorice fan, but that's okay. They look cute. and some punch chew things. This is a good box. And an orange snack. We'll see what my next color maybe will translate to trying something else. Gonna go for a kind of orange smoothie this morning to stay on theme. I'm back to check in on my orange book. I am 45% into The Sky is on Fire, and so far I'm having a good time with this one. I will admit my focus has not been super great this week. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sleeping well. I'm sleepy. There's a lot of stuff going on with work, and all of this is kind of contributing to the fact that I lose the plot a little bit easily and have to rewind occasionally. So I think tonight my plan is going to be sitting down and crocheting and just focusing on the audiobook while I do some mindless stitching, and hopefully that'll help. And I'm really ahead of myself here because I probably should tell you a little bit about what this book is. We are following Anarod, and she is someone who has been kind of living out on her own with her Drake, who is named Overbite, and I love that. I think that's adorable. And she kind of has some history. She's known amongst the people of the land in a very negative way, so she's kind of staying out of the spotlight. Except she winds up being dragged in, pretty much kicking and screaming, to this concept of a heist. There's dragons in this world. They all have their own hordes of goodies and valuables, and there's a group that wants to steal from this one particular dragon, and they've developed this plot. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of things that are going on where not everyone knows what everyone else is up to, and I do like that kind of intrigue with it, but that's where when I lose focus, I miss things. So I'm hoping to be able to kind of lock in tonight and focus better because I am finding it a fun time. I like the fact that our main character has some hangups. She's deathly afraid of heights, which is not great for someone getting involved with dragon riders or sky cities and things like that that aren't on solid ground. So there's a lot of interesting kind of things at play. I like a main character with kind of a fatal flaw or a potential fatal flaw going on here that she must kind of overcome and figure out. And I'm intrigued to see how this heist is going to play out. The dragons in this world seem to be pretty grumpy and not creatures you necessarily want to mess with. So it could be a very interesting play. The one dragon we've kind of had more interaction with so far definitely doesn't love our main character. And there's kind of some interesting interplay with the fact that dragons and their bonded rider have the ability to kind of control their rider a little bit. And that's an interesting thing too. So I'm definitely looking forward to continuing on with this. I'm going to make myself some dinner and then get back to my crochet and relaxing hopefully, and hopefully get to bed at an early time tonight. I'm having dinner out with my best friend tomorrow night. So we've got some fun to be had, but I do kind of need to be awake to participate. So we'll see how that goes. I did pull out my most recent candle I've been burning, and it might be a little more golden yellowy, but I'm going to call it a really light orange. It is a harvest candle from Yankee Candles that I've had for quite a while, and it's not really seasonally appropriate, but it is, I think, close enough to color appropriate, and it smells really good. So I think I'm going to light this and have a cozy evening, and hopefully I'll be back soon to let you know how this is going. Okay, I'm back a little bit prematurely. I'm about 2/3 of the way through this one, still having a good time, still continuing on with this one. But looking at the clock, there's no way I'm going to finish this tonight. My eyes are so dry. I don't know if it's weather or lack of sleep. So definitely not finishing this book up tonight. But I'm going to be spending a lot of time out and about tomorrow, away from my books, away from my camera. So what I want to do is spin my next color now and figure out before I leave for work in the morning what my next book is going to be, so I can hopefully take an audiobook for that one with me as well. So let's do that. Okay, screen recording, and here we go. Spin. Okay, it's a aqua, green, blue type of color. So not sure what that's going to be yet, but I should be back in the morning or by morning to give you an answer. Happy Friday. I am doing a quick check-in before I get ready to head out to go to work. But I did want to say Kylie finished Sky on Fire last night. I, however, did not. I did the whole, I'm just going to lay down and close my eyes for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to get up, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to get ready for bed, all of that. No, I woke up 3 hours later, the book was done, and I was awake at midnight just to get up and get ready for bed and go back to bed. So shower happened this morning instead, and I rewound. So I will be listening to the last almost 3 hours again today while I'm awake, so I can finish this one up. But I did spend some time looking through my books and my shelves for teal options, and this is a hard color. On screen, I feel like it reads a little more green, but I just kept finding a couple things I'm like, oh, this might actually match. And then I'd pull it off my shelf and it was very definitely blue or very definitely a dark green. It wasn't great at matching. So I kind of threw out what the actual image of teal looked like and just kept teal in mind going through my shelves. And as I was looking, one of my Libby holds came through for something I need to read this month. And it is The Dollhouse Academy by Margarita Montemor. And this is, in my mind, very teal. It's definitely less green than what was on the screen, but I would define this as kind of a teal cover. And it'll be doing my TBR a favor to get to this one next. So I think that's what we're going to do. What I remember about this is not a whole ton. It is a academy for stars, for people of recognition, of influence, of something, and things go wrong. I really don't remember much about it, which, considering I've had it go through a book haul and a TBR and I've told you about it in those, I should remember more, but I don't. But anyway, that's the book that's on deck. Like I said, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the car today, a lot of time probably listening to some audio. So I might start this before my next update, before I let you know how The Sky on Fire turned out, but maybe not. As for this weekend, I am going out having dinner with a friend tonight, and then tomorrow there is a crochet Stitchathon happening, and this is put on by TL Yarn Crafts as part of her membership group, which I have recently joined. So that's going to be my first time kind of trying that out, and I am hoping to make some good progress. In terms of color, the blanket I'm working on right now is actually in the kind of teal family, I would say, so that's pretty perfect. I will try to show that to you tomorrow when the lighting's maybe a little bit better. And I am kind of hoping that before it starts getting too hot, which is questionable, we're already getting some heat, that I can make some good progress on that because I'm getting close to the end. I just need to get enough rows in to make the pattern look good and finish it off and put a border on it. That's the plan. So it's in keeping with the teal theme. I'm not sure about teal foods, but we'll see what's in my snack box to see if I can find something in the teal-ish family and go from there. But that's the plan for Saturday. On Sunday, I'm going out with a friend. We are going to take a tour with some other book friends at the Wallace Annenberg. Am I getting that name right? I probably have it wrong. I keep mixing it up, but it is a overpass that's being built over a freeway for nature, basically, to have a way to get across the freeway safely, stay out of driver's ways, stay out of whatever. But it's just a cool concept, and one of my book friends does tours there, so she invited us to come and partake. So that's Sunday. So it's going to be a very busy weekend, not a big reading weekend, but that's okay. I haven't put a strict, this vlog has to finish in exactly 1 week type of timetable. I'm just going to try to get to some more books before we finish off. Anyway, that's me rambling. I really should get ready for work. I procrastinate that a lot. But yeah, happy Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekend, even though it will be a little bit of a busy one, but I will check in with you probably tonight. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow morning, and let you know where I'm at. It is Friday evening and I'm just getting home. I had a lovely dinner with friends, pizza from an old favorite pizza place, and watched a little bit of TV, worked on a little bit of crochet, and just kind of hung out and chatted, which was a lot of fun. In other news, I have finished The Sky on Fire, and generally speaking, I had a good time with this one. There are some things I wished maybe had slowed down a little bit. We get a lot of information about what the magic in this world looks like, the dragon's world looks like, and it gives us a lot of information, and then suddenly we're back in the action. And there were definitely places where I wanted to spend a little bit more time absorbing, but I think the author did do a really good job of reminding us of what we needed to know about the magic, about the world, etc., when it came up and when it was relevant. There is a romance I would say, subplot going on in here, and it's between our main character and two different people. And I think that was well done enough. It really isn't the focus of this book. I wouldn't go into this book wanting romance as a forefront type thing, but I think in general it was fine. It was there. I did like that the partners knew about each other. This wasn't something that was a love triangle. It was just multiple people in a relationship. I really liked the way that gender worked in this world and just how open it was. It was definitely queer normative, and there was a system in place where you wore rings to kind of say what you were looking for, what your preferences were, etc. And we had people of different genders coming out later in life, being a late bloomer. And I think all of that was really interesting. I could have used maybe a little more information, a little bit more talking about the structure of this world and so forth, but I did like that as well. So overall, this one wound up getting a 4-star for me. I would recommend picking it up if you enjoy a fast-paced fantasy and a really interesting kind of take on a dragon rider type of world, and I think this was well done. So with that, I did start the Dollhouse Academy just briefly. I'm not far enough in really to have any super initial thoughts other than it definitely grabbed my attention from the beginning. Listened to it on the drive home this evening, so really only about 15 minutes of listening. So I will be back once I'm a little bit further into the book and see how things are going. So I will check back in when I have more updates for you on as we are moving now into teal mode. And I didn't really think about it, but my shirt is definitely suiting the teal color wheel better than it was the orange color wheel. So, you know, we're making some good progress there too. It's now Saturday morning. I am 46% of the way through the Dollhouse. I'm on chapter 18 and having a good time with this one. It's really gripping. It definitely caught my attention right away. We are following two different POVs in here. The first one starts the book off with a bang, with it being someone who has been part of the Dollhouse Academy for years and years and years, and she makes some offhanded remark about possibly thinking about leaving the Dollhouse Academy, and then there's a whole sequence of what happens to her because she has threatened to leave, and it's not pleasant. So we right off the bat know there's something not entirely up and up about this Dollhouse Academy. And then we are following Ramona and her best friend Grace, but we're in Ramona's head, and she and Grace have been lifelong fans of this Dollhouse Academy, which is both an academy to train up actors and actresses and stars and people who sing and dance and everything else, but also something that generates its own shows and very popular ones and stars, and they are cultural icons to everyone. And these girls are people who have auditioned to be part of the Dollhouse every time there's an open kind of casting call and never been accepted, but now is their time. They are known for putting on kind of this song and dance at Ramona's uncle's theater, where they do kind of the coming attractions and put on these cute little songs. And this has garnered attention in New York, and they get welcomed to join the academy. And they're both very, very excited by this. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. It's immediately separating them, even though they've been practically sisters for years. And you do get that sense that there are things that are not quite right in here. There's a lot of contracts they have to sign. There are opportunities presented to them, but again, it's separating friendships and kind of getting them to rely on the Dollhouse over anyone else. And I am very hooked on this. I'm very intrigued to keep going with it. And I don't know how much reading I'm going to be getting done this morning. I'm going to hop into a crochet along. I've been working on a blanket, and I think that's my goal for this morning because it's a little bit cooler this morning until the sun hits full force. And I will probably give you an update on that later. I'm going to actually use it right now to get Kylie into a picture so I can get my post up for the day and all of that before too much longer. But first, let's find the most teal looking coffee I can find, because that absolutely is my first objective. Hello again. I am back with some teal updates for you. For one thing, I took most of today off of reading and participated in a Stitchathon, crochet kind of mainly Stitchathon. And Teal Yarn Crafts is a channel. The person in charge of that is Tony, and I've really been enjoying her tutorial videos and just yarn videos and everything in general. So I have recently kind of joined her Yarn Hive community, and they are celebrating an anniversary, so did a 12-hour Stitchathon this morning. I did not wake up at 4 a.m. to start this, but did join in for much of the day, had a lot of fun, and got a lot of crocheting done. If I get it going the right direction, this is what I'm currently working on, and basically I'm trying to just kind of get this last pattern section to be long enough to kind of finish it off while it's still in the dark yarn. This is the kind of yarn that just transitions naturally, and I really do love it, but it is on the ground right now and it is taller than me. So I need to finish it off soon and then just put a border on it. And the goal is, if I haven't already said it recently in one of my videos, is to get this finished before it gets too hot to be crocheting for summer in Southern California. So this has been a project I've been working on for several months. I actually started it during my mother's birthday dinner last year, and it's been a project that's been getting me through a lot of time since then. So finishing an entire blanket this big in one basic go without putting it down for an extended period of time will be an accomplishment for me. So that is the plan. I think I can get away with just a couple more rows, and then the border will take some time because it's a big blanket, like I said. But I'm very excited to be finishing this off and to be working on it while I am working on my teal section of the spinner wheel. But it got a little bit warm this afternoon, so I have put this down, working on something else, which I will show you because I'm actually working on a smaller project, so it'll be done hopefully soon. So I will show that off as well. But on the reading front, while I have been crocheting after the Stitchathon ended, I did finish up the Dollhouse Academy, and I really enjoyed this. I think it was the right amount of a little bit of weird, a little bit of strange, a little bit of wondering what exactly is going on here. There definitely are some things I still have questions about, and it's not the type of book that will answer every single question you have, so you have to kind of be willing to deal with that going into it, I think. I had mentioned we have two POVs, and the one is following this young woman who's just starting out at this Dollhouse Academy and thinking it's going to be all great. The other one actually, which I hadn't connected until I picked up the physical book, is journal entries, and it is someone who's been with the Dollhouse Academy for a long period of time, but it's giving us backstory where she was new, just like our other main character, but in the present day, she's been around the Academy for a long time. So there's a lot of things in here that were twisty and turny, and I really enjoyed this. This was a strong 4-star, maybe a 4.5. I just finished it up. I've been listening to the audiobook. There's 2 different narrators for the 2 different POVs, which I always appreciate, and it's been a good time. I think this one might still be available in the Once Upon a Book Club box as well. I'm not 100% positive if it is still available or not. If it is, I do have a discount code, which is DGReads10 for 10% off your first order. If you are interested in this or any of their other products, they have a bunch going on over there. So with that, I do need to figure out what my next color is going to be. If it could be gray or blue, that would really work with the other crochet project I'm trying to get finished up this weekend, but we will see. Spinner wheel and screen record. Okay, ready, set, and spin. Honeydew green. Interesting. Okay, this one might take me a while to figure out what cover I might have that has honeydew green on it. And it really, at this point in time, needs to be something I can do on audio, just because I have a couple things I need to read that aren't available on audio. So I really need this to work. So I'll be back once I've figured out what this is going to be. Okay, honeydew green is not an easy color by any means, but I did find something. On my Libro Unread shelf, I have a gifted copy of Green Teeth, and this is by Molly O'Neill, and this is a gifted copy I received from Hachette Audio and Libro FM. We are following a goblin who lives out in the swamplands, maybe? I don't know exactly, but their realm is infiltrated by a evil of some sort, and they team up with a human witch, it sounds like, to fight this evil. Clearly, I know ever so much about it, but it is one that I had downloaded because it sounded intriguing, and the cover I think definitely will work for Honeydew Green. It's got a lot of shades of green on there, very bright greens, so I think it's in that realm, and it's an audiobook, which is what I'm looking for at the moment. Looking at a couple of reviews, I've seen some mixes, I've seen some very mid reviews from people I know and trust, at least one DNF, and I know Andrea, who sometimes has some similar taste to me, compared this one to a T. Kingfisher novel, so I'm feeling good about that comparison. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on it while I continue to work on my next crochet project, and hopefully I will have a good update on that by the time I'm back with some midway thoughts on this book. Okay, I'm not sure what time it is. I can't even really hear myself think. The neighbors are having an extremely loud party, which hopefully you're not picking up too much of that, but I wanted to do a quick update because I am past the halfway point in Green Teeth, and so far it's fine. I don't think this is going to be a new favorite. It's definitely a cozy type fantasy, which is not usually my go-to, but I'm finding it entertaining and I do want to keep going and finish the book, so that's a good thing. This one we are following Jenny Greenteeth, and she is a goblin, a water goblin, and she's living her best life on her own. She has her lake, she keeps it clean, she does whatever she wants, she has her little lair, and then one day she hears a splash in her lake, so she goes to investigate, hoping it's something food related, and she finds that it is actually a person, a witch, that has been put into the water by the people from the village, and this witch is chained up, this witch is drowning, she winds up saving this witch. Come to find out, there's something in this town that's not right, and the witch and this goblin kind of form a reluctant alliance together, and then things ensue. They wind up going on essentially a quest, and we've got some tension between the two of them because one's human, though a witch, and one's a goblin, and their views on life are very different, but they've got travel, they collect more, at least one other person along the way, and it's a rough journey, things go wrong, and it's been a fun time so far. I wouldn't say this is one that's going to necessarily stick with me, but it's cozy, it's an easy listen, and I'm having a good enough time with it to want to continue on. So I'm just going to leave that here for now. I am about to grab some food. I haven't had dinner yet, and probably just lock myself and Kylie away in my room and try to drown out the noise that's coming from my neighborhood at the moment. And I don't know if I'm going to keep reading this, maybe switch to something else, maybe just watch some TV. We'll see. I tomorrow have an outing for a good chunk of the day where I'm going off with my best friend to go on a tour, and we're going to spend a lot of time in the car, but not audiobook time, since there will be someone else there who doesn't listen to audiobooks at the speed I do, or feel the need to start an audiobook in the middle where I am with my current reads. So I don't think tomorrow's going to be a super big reading day either, although I got more in today than I expected, so maybe I'll do that again tomorrow. But I will check back in with you once I have finished up Green Teeth. Okay, I'm back because I have finished Green Teeth, and overall it was fine. It was cozy. It was, I think, some good friendship dynamics going on. I thought the world was interesting. The different creatures were interesting. I just struggled to have it hold my attention the further I got in, and some of that I'm going to blame on my neighbors being super, super loud. The loud music went until midnight, and then they started back up again at 12:30, at which point I had to put in earplugs because I just needed sleep and I was getting annoying. I was finishing this up on audio and I couldn't even hear the audiobook, so it just was a bad time. But I did rewind and re-listen to the ending this morning, and it still was a struggle for me to maintain my focus on it for some reason, and I can't put a finger on exactly why, so I think it might just be wrong book, wrong time. In general, I think this is one that I liked, I didn't love. I think there were enough aspects to it that it's probably winding up like a 3.5, but probably more like a 3 for Goodreads, just because it did not hold me well enough. But regardless, we do need to pick another book. So let's get our color spinner back up toward the screen. All right, ready, set, and spin. Purple. I know exactly what this is going to be. I'm not even going to take a break to go find the book because I don't own the book, but my audiobook loan for Sunrise on the Reaping, the latest installment in the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins, just arrived in my Libby holds this morning, and it's purple. So this could not be more perfect. Very excited to go ahead and get to this. I know a lot of people have been very emotional over this. I did not love the Snow prequel, Songbirds and Snakes, something along those lines. But I've heard that even people who didn't love that one have been absolutely loving this one. So I have all the high expectations. So I'm going to go into this very excited, and I will check back in with you once I get going on it. Purple smoothie for breakfast to keep us on track, even though I haven't started my purple book yet. Okay, I'm back to give you an update on Sunrise on the Reaping. I just barely passed the 50% mark on my way home from work this evening, and I am happily having fun with it. I was worried because the last prequel, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is that it? I can't even remember the title. Really just didn't work for me. I was pretty bored with it. Didn't love Snow's character. But in this one, I already went in loving Haymitch and his personality that we see in the later years. So it's very fun to kind of see him as a young person, a more optimistic person, a sober person. And I know there's so much heartache ahead for him, but it'll still make for a good story, I think. With this one, we start again in District 12. It is the 50-year anniversary of the start of the Hunger Games, so it is a quarter quell. And it's interesting to hear a little bit of the history of the games and how they started and how they went on. And I think we get some of that in the other books, but this one there's a little more focus on how they're presenting this to the people, the ways it has changed over the years. We learned very quickly at the beginning that what's special this time around is they pull twice the number of people for the quarter quell, and this is something that then, of course, Haymitch winds up being one of the people who is selected to go off. We see his life before it happens on his birthday, so we see kind of his day before that with his family, with the girl he loves, with everything else, and then we see the tragedy of him getting sent off to the Capitol. And I think the author's doing a great job of pulling things in that we're familiar with, some familiar faces, some elements of the games themselves that feel familiar, but also making sure that it feels distinct, because this happens 25 years before the Hunger Games we know and love from later years, and therefore there's things that just aren't quite as polished. The people of the Capitol aren't quite as wild and flamboyant. They certainly are, but maybe just slightly less so, and I think those kind of subtle details are actually being really well done. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. It sucked me in right away. I flew through it so far, and I'm so glad that I got an appropriate color match to work with this cover so I could fit it into my TBR, since there were several books coming out this month that I did not think ahead and get into my plans. So I'm going to keep going on this one, and I will check back in with you later. It is actually later the same evening after my last update, but I have indeed finished up Sunrise on the Reaping, and as expected, it was heartbreaking, it was gripping, it was fantastic, it was 5 stars. So I'm not sure exactly what else I can say that doesn't get into spoilers. I think the heartbreak in it and the turns of everything that causes that heartbreak for Haymitch was as expected. Like, I wasn't super surprised by any of the twists. I think it was well done. It made sense in the grand scheme of things for what the Capitol would do, what Snow would do. And I think the tie back to the original trilogy and even to the previous prequel, even in as much as I didn't love that one, I think the tie together worked rather well. The just knowledge of having the fact that this was 25 years earlier from the original trilogy and everything that Haymitch has had to go through in that time between games, and having to be this tribute and the only one in the Victor Village for the District 12. All of that goes into the whole heartbreaking nature. So anyway, loved the book. Definitely recommend it, but go in prepared. That said, it is time for us to pick another color and another book. All right, pulling up the screen recording and ready, set, and spin. Okay, light orange again. Apparently we are being repetitive. So it's about time for bed, although I could potentially start something if I have an audiobook for it. So let me see. Actually, you know what? I think I know what I want to do. Okay, yeah. I'm going to be lazy and not go get the book. It is upstairs. But what I have in mind is The Intern by Michelle Campbell. And this cover definitely has light orange kind of in the middle of it. So I'm going to count this. And it is a thriller from what I recall. And I think that would be a good change of pace because I have like a mystery going. I have a lot of fantasy that I've been reading. And I think having a thriller in the mix would be a good shout. So let's do that. I will definitely probably start it before bed, but work on it while I'm at work tomorrow and be back maybe tomorrow with some initial thoughts for you. I wanted to start my update today by saying that as I was working on my book last night, I did finish my blanket that I have been working on. I did enough rows to feel like I had enough at the one end in the pattern and put a 2-row, just simple border around it. Is it perfect? Definitely not. There's some curling in the kind of first row and the edges aren't 100% straight. Not that I dropped stitches, but just that the turning created a couple bumps and lumps in a few places. But everything's stitched in. Everything is good to go. This side was kind of rough in terms of finding the right spot to put the border. So I think with a little bit of a light wash, it'll help a little bit with some of that. But honestly, it's just big and fluffy and comfortable and soft. And Kylie claimed it all night. So apparently she approves. So I'm happy to have that done while it's still cool enough to be working on it. But while I was finishing that up last night, I did make it to halfway in my book. So The Intern by Michelle Campbell. We start the book following Madison, who is a law student, and she is someone who has a judge who's one of her teachers who she particularly looks up to. And when this judge, Catherine, approaches her and tells her to apply for an internship with her, she can't believe her luck. The problem being that she has a brother who's been in a lot of trouble, and her brother has recently been arrested, and she's nervous to bring this up with this particular judge. It turns out Judge Catherine is also the judge who handled her brother's case, and according to her brother and her mother, mishandled pieces of it. And she just kind of leaves out the brother in the interview quite blatantly, and that's probably going to come back and kick her in the butt at some point, but she gets the internship and she now has this dual dilemma of trying to get answers to what might have happened with her brother and also wanting to maintain her ability to become a lawyer in the future and the relationship with this judge, although there's some weird stuff that's going on. When we get to part 2 in the book, we are following Catherine and we are getting her backstory. I'm not going to get into what her story entails exactly because the synopsis doesn't say anything about that, so I do want to leave that up to discovery later. But it says, is Catherine Conroy a mentor, a victim, or a criminal? And that's kind of what we're getting from her backstory, is the depiction of what she's been through in the past, what may be going on in the present. Has she done something wrong with Madison's brother's case? Does she know Madison has a brother? All of these things are big question marks as the story goes on. And so far I would say it's pretty slow build, but I am very interested. I don't love the premise starting with a lie, with Madison telling her she doesn't have a brother and all of that, but I think the tension is good, the interest is good. I want to see where this is going to take us. How are we going to feel about this judge by the end? How are we even going to feel about Madison by the end? I don't know, but I am eager to keep reading and find out. So this could wind up being our final book. I'd like to get maybe one more in. I've been having a lot of fun doing these kind of mood reading type books, but honestly, I kind of assumed I'd probably be able to get a couple TBR books into this color spinner wheel picks thing. And really the only one I did get in was where I misremembered what color we were looking for. So things haven't been going exactly according to plan, but I'm still having fun. So I'm going to finish this one. We will see what the timing looks like. Either way, I'll be back with final thoughts on this one. I'm back with a final update on The Intern and on the vlog. I really wound up enjoying this. It did take me a while to get into it. I would say at the beginning I wasn't fully hooked and it was easy to pick up and put back down. But by the end, I was absolutely along for the ride, along for the wondering who this judge, Catherine, was. Was she a good character? Was she not? There's definitely some gray morality going on here, but you learn more about her motivations and about her history and about how she got sucked into what she gets sucked into, and I absolutely was pulling for her by the end of it, even as I had moments where I would then be questioning and wondering if in the end the author was going to completely surprise me that she was totally a bad guy. So I think it worked really well in that regard. It kept me hooked toward the end. This was definitely a solid 4-star read. I think the characters were very interesting. I think the relationship between Maddie and Catherine was really interesting as well, in the way that goes throughout the book with changes and where they find similarities, where they are against each other at times. I think just was really well done. So this was a fun book to finish off with. To be completely honest, I did spin again just to see what my next color would be, because I was debating adding one more book in, and it came up orange again. And orange is not an easy color for me, and I decided that was the wheel saying, you're done. So I am gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We got some good reads in here. I had a lot of fun with a lot of these books, but in the end, it leaves me with a lot of excitement to bring back the color wheel spinner again in the future. Let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these books? Are there any orange books I should be adding to my TBR? Because apparently my spinner wheel really wants me to read more orange books. I'd love to hear all the things down below. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me an orange emoji. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it. And subscribe if you're interested in more of my spinner wheels, more of my reading challenges, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.